Weird. We live. We out here. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are doing well. It's early. It's really early. 7 a.m. These streams are getting ridiculous. Over the weekend, that's a bang, by the way. Over the weekend, I think I did like an 8 a.m. stream. And I was like, it is the earliest I've ever streamed. Well, now we're at 7. So, hey, maybe 6 a.m. hits the docket sooner or later. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. If you can, let me know. We have baseball tonight. We have basketball tonight. And then tomorrow, we'll have everything. We'll have a bigger basketball slate all day. We'll have the regular shenanigans that is baseball, which is day 3 of everyone's rotation, so it should be some lesser arms. And not that we're loaded tonight, but it should be some lesser arms, man. Anyway, I'm Gun. Twitter.com/GundackerSports. Decided we'll go ahead and do this live. Yesterday I recorded it. It took forever to upload and process. It's just so much easier for me to hit flip on or go live on a mic and just break down the slate. It's really no difference. So that's why we're here today. I don't expect a lot of live viewership on a impromptu 7 a.m. MLB stream, but those of you that do drop by, be sure to drop some love in the chat. Be interactive. If you're watching not live, hit that thumbs up for me. Would appreciate it. If you're on Twitter, twitter.com/GundackerSports, man. That's how you guys can reach out to me, interact with me. If you're as excited as I am to have multiple sports back and you're back for the NBA content, give me a minute to commit to what I want to do for NBA content today. I got up a little bit earlier than I thought. I've probably been up since about 3 a.m., but I went to sleep at like 10 p.m. So if I can run the marathon, I don't mind sometime today getting a live stream with hopefully a co-host or two and start talking about some picks and plays for tomorrow's NBA slate. The NBA slates are going to be a little bit different this year than we're accustomed to on a daily basis, some all-day grinds. So my idea for that is to provide content probably the night before, you know? So we'll try and get that with some level of consistency. And then the MLB content, I love MLB. It's my baby, but it never gets a whole lot of clicks. So hopefully I'll still be able to pump out the MLB content, but it certainly would be a little bit more expendable if things do get a little hectic. Hopefully you guys did okay last night. Let me see if I can pull up my lineups last night. I actually think I bulk. So I like to multi-enter and mass enter. Last night I kept it simple, just a couple lineups on each site. I hit and everything on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings I hit in some and then bubbled by like a 1 point on others. The pay up for pitching approach. It still gives you that floor that you're looking for, but there were some alternatives yesterday, like Brandon Woodruff, that showed up and showed out. And became really, really, really good plays. And then the Yankee stack signs a couple of duds like Gary Sanchez and I guess maybe Giancarlo Stanton. A Yankee stack came through, and they were super expensive. So if you were able to get lineups with Brandon Woodruff, who else went well at pitching yesterday on the main slate? I guess that was it. I guess it was just Woodruff and everyone else. There was a lot of 20s, 18s, 22s, you know what I'm saying? Garrett Cole was well on his way to a 7-inning great game, but he actually had 3 pitches in a row hit for a double, a homer, and another double. So they got him out there, but he did go 100 pitches, and outside of his last 3 pitches, he looked pretty sharp. So I'm excited to play him going forward. We did have the Dodgers beat the Astros yesterday. That's always fun. And then on not the main slate, we saw like the Reds go off. And then, of course, the Seattle Mariners scored 10 runs. The Angels scored 7. That would have been an insane showdown to partake in. But Yankees were a stack that I saw at a lot of my single entry tournaments. Aaron Judge, DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Hicks, all going Yarbrough. LeMahieu dang near hit for the cycle, just needed a triple. No other surprises, right? I think there was a double dunk by Mike Yastrzemski of the of the Giants. He went 3 for 5 with 2 bombs, including a walk-off. And then we kind of joked about how the Atlanta Braves might be a stack because DraftKings algorithm had them super priced up. They weren't really a stack, but if you played Freddie Freeman at that price, he got you 4 hits, a homer, 3 RBIs, and a double for almost 30 DraftKings points. So he was a huge play, and you needed some huevos to throw him into your lineup. But of course, if you paid down at pitching, you would have been able to do that. Anyway, what's up, live chat? Good morning, everybody. Darian, where the heck is the B-Ball podcast? We'll see, man. So you guys know the 2-game slates aren't like I don't love them. I might play it just because it's back, you know what I'm saying? But it's the big slates where I break it down. There's a lot of research to be done. Who's with the team, who's not with the team, the rotations that they plan on going. I've done a little bit of due diligence thus far. I think I read that like the 76ers were going to use Shake Milton at point and Ben Simmons at power forward, stuff like that. I know the Lakers are in dire straits when it comes to point guards, Rondo being hurt. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into a basketball podcast. What up, Cam? What up, Eric Loving? Good morning. What up, Jason? What up, Mike? Big Mike? You guys are the true grinders, man. You guys are up in the crack of dawn, man. You guys are beating the sun. Gotta love it. We got 8 games on the main slate tonight. At first glance, it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of weather issues. Should be a somewhat controlled research process throughout the day. There is a Yankees game. The Yankees do have an implied run total of over 6, and we'll talk about that first. But the spread of the slate, there's mostly East Coast start times of about 7 to 7:10 p.m., all but 3 games. And then on the West Coast, we're going to have the Angels, Mariners, D-backs hosting the Dodgers. Dodgers traveling from Houston yesterday. And then the Giants will host the Padres again. So a couple West Coast games, but for the most part, this slate should be pretty concentrated at within 10 minutes of lock. And then we can enjoy both sports at the same time for a little bit before we start grinding our night lineups, right? What up, Mamba? What up, guys? Good morning, you guys. There is Millie Makers for NBA on I think both sides for this 2-game slate. So be sure to at least throw some darts at it. I'm almost positive I got free entries to both Millie Makers and didn't ask for them. So I'm pretty sure that's a every person thing. So be sure to check your tickets on either site and see if you've got entries for that. But let's talk baseball now. And then maybe later we'll jump into basketball. First game on the docket, New York Yankees taking on the Baltimore Orioles. J Happ taking a bump for the Yankees. He's going to make his season debut against the Orioles, a team that hit him hard in 2019. In 5 starts versus the Orioles, Happ pitched to a 6.85 ERA in 22 and a third innings, permitting 7 home runs, his most against any opponent. Definitely, as a Yankee fan, last year was a tough season to watch J Happ pitch. He looked really, really solid this season prior. I thought he was going to be a great innings eater, and then he had some extreme problems with power last season. I will say, I don't want to get too excited, but in spring training and scrimmage, it looked like he had found some of that swinging strike rate stuff again. Just a little over 10%, but that's enough for a contact pitcher to maybe work with, pitching to contact, get 2 strikes, and then maybe find his way through the strike zone to get a strikeout. So we'll see. I want to see that play out in the regular season, but he did look promising to me in the shortened camps and the regular spring training. He'll be up against another lefty, John Means. He was a rookie all-star in 2019. He earned the O's opening day assignment this summer, but he missed that start with arm fatigue. This will be the 2020 debut for the lefty who went 12-11 with a 3.6 ERA in 2019. Let's take that sip of Bang. All right, so what stands out to me off the top, poster boy here, Giancarlo Stanton, 3,800 on FanDuel, 55 on DK. I'm okay with going to the slot machine here. John Means against righties, just a 17.6% K rate last season, a 5.75 xFIP. The hard contact kind of down, under 30%. That's almost elite, really. But the fly ball rate up 50% and a 1.55 home run per night. I mean, these are numbers that are going to shoot projections for Giancarlo Stanton pretty high over the last 2 years. A 424 WOBA, a 637 slugging against left-handed pitching. And you guys know Giancarlo is one of the league leaders perennially in exit velocity. He's got the top 2 most hardest hit balls essentially ever, but since the StatCast error. So I'm willing to offset the fact that John Means' hard contact is a little bit lower, or a lot bit lower than average. I got him in my bomb rating as the number 2 highest bomb rating projected behind Justin Turner. I haven't looked at Turner's matchup yet. Was it against Robbie Ray? Okay, so then it does have some sample size there. So him being well above the 4.0 magic number definitely puts me on Giancarlo Stanton. Yesterday, Giancarlo Stanton and Gleyber Torres were both upwards of 50% owned in contests that I was in. So I would assume they carry some trendiness over to today. Both of those guys kind of let you down, Gleyber included. So, maybe some touching the hot stove and getting burned and you don't want to go back the next day will put you away. But this is one of those slates where not really a whole lot of salary to invest in pitching, so it's going to be way too easy to click these names. And baseball's a fickle sport like that, right? Slot machine here more than ever is meaningful. Do we play J Happ? 10.4K on DraftKings, 8,600 on FanDuel. So at 8,600, I am a little bit curious. At 10.4K, I'm probably not that curious because this is his first start. I don't know if they, because his last start got kind of skipped, I don't know if they've kind of made him throw the sim games and bullpen games to work his arm out. And then, of course, 10 plus K for J Happ seems a little rough anyway, considering his metrics last year against righties and his poor history against the Orioles. We have seen the Orioles this season face some contact lefties. They beat up on Martin Perez and Fenway. So I'm a little bit of wait and see at 10.4K. If I'm spraying 150 lineups on FanDuel, I do probably have an 8,600 J Happ in the mix. Yesterday, I think Garrett Cole was able to stay out there for 7 innings because they had a 6-run lead. And I think J Happ could be that same token today. If they get a big lead, they'll try and give him an opportunity to stretch his arm out a little bit. The Yankees rotation does look like it's coming together. I do believe Jordan Montgomery is coming up. Masahiro Tanaka is going to rejoin the rotation. So the rotation is a little bit thicker, a little bit more, and Paxton's still in the mix as well. So it is spread out enough to where we don't have to prepare for a full bullpen game like we did against the Nationals. But I do think Jordan and Montgomery should be a game that I consider more of a bullpen game pre-flop. So if they can save some of the back-end arms for that game, maybe they do it and they give J-Hap an extra inning of leash. Who on the Orioles are we scared of against a lefty? Well, Austin Hayes projects pretty well. 365 average in his limited sample size against lefties with a high slugging percentage. And then a lot of low K guys, but it doesn't mean too much to me because Hap is more so a contact pitcher. Renato Nunez might be somebody with a little bit of pop that you can take a shot on. And then maybe Jose Iglesias, a little bit more surprising to start the season than I gave him credit for. He hit a double in the first inning yesterday to score a run. We've seen a couple of surprising games out of him, but I don't want to go too far, too deep in playing these Orioles Pats because at the end of the day, they're still the Orioles. Yankees full stack in full effect here. DJ LeMahieu, triple away from the cycle yesterday, 4 hits. We're all about that. Aaron Judge looked pretty decent at the plate yesterday. Usually I'll lean Stanton over Judge when it comes to lefties, but all hands on deck. No one's off limits in this Yankee stack today. Mike Ford drew the start yesterday, and I think we ended up seeing Tyler Wade come in his spot, and then Aaron Hicks was taken out early for Mike Tauchman, a lefty, and that might just been a load management kind of plan. We know Hicks was injured at the end of last year in the offseason, and Mike Ford probably a little bit more of a defensive liability. So there is a chance that some of these Yankees don't play the full 9. It seems like Aaron Hicks might be one of the candidates for that. But the big hitters here, DJ LeMahieu, Judge, Torres, Stanton, I expect them to get their full allotment of at-bats today. Gary Sanchez has looked really bad at the plate, and Brett Gardner's looked really bad at the plate. Those are 2 guys that I want to see something from before I start rostering them. I really, 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 really want to believe that if there's a spot for Gary Sanchez to get right, it's against a lefty that pitches a little bit more to contact. But he has looked so bad. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of it's not even a bad luck situation. Just a lot of strikeouts. John Maynard's fastball, changeup. Gary Sanchez. Yeah, I guess fastball is better than the slider. The biggest pitch for Gary that I noticed kills him is that low and away slider, righty on righty. So maybe this lefty will be a get right spot. Maybe that price and his recent performance will keep him low owned at the catcher spot. Catcher's just been a really dull position generally this whole season. Salvador Perez has been the highest owned catcher the last 2 days and pretty much has gotten you 0. So you might be able to get a little different at catcher. Man, my throat's getting dry here. But anyway, that's all I got for that one. I might have some stabs of Hap on FanDuel. I don't think I get there on DraftKings. Oh, man. Mets hosting the Red Sox. So that game didn't quite go as planned yesterday. If you told me the Mets had, what they had, like 6 or 7, let me see, Mets East, Mets had 5 runs. If you told me the Mets had 5 runs, they're like, oh man, DeGrom finally got a win. Boston actually won that game 6-5, and I think DeGrom left with a 1-run lead because why wouldn't he? And then Seth Lugo immediately gave that up, and Boston was able to walk away with that win. That Mets bullpen has been that Mets bullpen. It's a shame. If you guys have been at the Red Sox slot machine over the weekend, man, this JD Martinez, Jose Peraza mix, it just keeps getting me, and I feel like today might be another spot where I'm tempted to go back to the well. It's our second game featuring lefty versus lefty. Martin Perez is going to start for the Red Sox. He's going to try to recover from a tough debut when he gave up 5 runs, 4 earned in 5 innings against the Orioles and 2 career appearances at Citi Field. He's 1-0 with a 3.6 ERA. He's going to be up against Steven Matz. Matz has a 1.5 ERA on the season with 7 strikeouts. And although he's been working on an improved curveball, it was his changeup that shined during 6 innings of 1-run ball Saturday against the Braves for an encore. He'll be making his first start ever against the Red Sox. So what do we like on the surface here? Well, JD Martinez against a left-handed pitcher is something that will always stick out. He's slugging .728 against lefties in the last 2 seasons with a 44.4% hard contact rate. Steven Matz last season and the season prior over a 1.5 home run per 9. I mean, that's just what you want. The Moon's O-line projection-wise for JD Martinez to have a solid game here. JD Martinez has to be, he's got a 3.99 rating on the bomb detector. 4 is the magic number, so he's right there. So it's a big spot for him. But if you're like me, man, you guys have been playing JD Martinez, even Jose Peraza over the weekend. And it's been letting you down, but baseball's like that. You just got to keep playing the matchup. So I will certainly have some JD today. The pitching's not really going to stretch my salary too thin. Jose Peraza is just too cheap on both sides, man. Leading off potentially 24-23. Citi Field, a little bit bigger for those line drives to fall. At Fenway, he was hitting a lot of rockets to gloves, and especially when the outfielders have a little less ground to cover in left field, maybe out here in Citi Field, he could have been a little bit luckier. But guys like Kevin Pillar profile well. Christian Vasquez has 2 homers on the season. He hit one yesterday. So I do like some of the Red Sox bats. I do think that the Red Sox are not getting the credit offensively maybe that they deserve. So let's see. Red Sox. Red Sox are 12th overall in, what's the average? I don't know what this is sorted by. Oh, in WRC plus? Is that what it is? No, hold on. They're 11th overall in WRC plus, right? So they're a little bit above what the league averages here. Batting .278 overall as a team, slugging .448. So yeah, it's a little bit slower start for power. But I do think that they're getting a bad rep offensively because people in the DFS bubble, because people are keyed in on the Perazzas and the JD Martinez. But as a whole, that lineup's kind of getting it done. We've seen some big games from the bottom of that order. So I don't mind going to some Red Sox bats here against Steven Matz. I am keeping an eye on Matz and his pitch expansion with the curveball and see if that changeup will show up again today. But I probably don't have much interest in pitching him. Even if he went solid, it's hard to trust that bullpen to hold it together. Absolutely zero interest in playing Martin Perez here. Met stack in play all day. They have a 5 implied run total. Ahmed Rosario, Peter Alonso, J.D. Davis, and Yoenis Cespedes. So I know it says he's batting .147 the last 2 years against lefties, but prior to his injury-riddled last couple of years, I mean, he was definitely a much, much better and more scary hitter. And I think we're seeing a little bit of flash or some flashes of that in his first couple games here. We have 2 homers, I think. He homered again yesterday. So Cespedes being 2,600 on FanDuel, 38 on DraftKings. I mean, that's kind of a cheap shot at a blast, right? If we pull up his game log this season. By the way, shout out to DraftKings for getting the game logs updated. 17 yesterday, 14 on opening day with the homers. That's kind of what you're gonna get from Cespedes. Kind of a older, slower period for him, but it does have some pop. Does have some power. And against Martin Perez, if you're gonna dare somebody with some power to make contact, and he will with just a 9.9% swinging strike rate, which is, I think, a little bit fake. Cespedes has a chip in a chair, in my estimation. Ahmed Rosario, man, I'll tell you what, a couple of these Mets guys scream a little bit too cheap on FanDuel. 25 for Rosario, 24 for J.D. Davis. Cespedes is 26. This is one of those days where I wish there was a pitcher to go up and get, but there's really not price-wise. I guess Shane Bieber, although I don't love his matchup at mini. There's not really a lot of, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are great bargain bin guys to piece together a Garrett Cole lineup or something like that. We didn't have that yesterday, at least not on DraftKings. Kind of wish here. But yeah, I think both teams are perfectly fine in play. Love a lot of these cherry-picked one-offs. JD Martinez. I'll have a lot of lineups, it looks like, with JD Martinez and Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield. What up, Fish? Good morning, guys. Hope you guys are waking up to some sunshine. Looks like the sun's not quite out here yet. maybe a little bit overcast. Drinking that Bang, though. Let's move it on. Indians at the Twins. Shane Bieber taking a bump against Jose Berrios. Shane Bieber set quite the tone in his first start of the year, allowing just 4 hits with 14 strikeouts in 6 innings against the Royals. That set a club record for most strikeouts on opening day. He'll be up against Jose Berrios. Berrios struggled on opening day against the White Sox, but he will get a chance to bounce back against the Indians. In 2019, he had a 2.55 ERA in 24 and 2/3 innings across 4 starts versus the Cleveland Indians. So this is a perfect example of one of those games that is just extremely unpredictable, right? 2 talented offenses and 2 talented pitchers, and you would expect the pitchers to be talented enough to keep this thing from erupting. But, man, we have seen these bats just put on a show. I think I trust right now Shane Bieber a little bit more than Jose Berrios. His overall xFIP and his Sierra has just been really, really sparkling. A 3.28 ERA last season, a 3.36 Sierra, a 3.23 xFIP. I mean, these are just glaring numbers. This is a tough matchup. This is a Twins team that can put the hurt on you quick, fast, and in a hurry. So I don't know that Shane Bieber will generate a whole lot of interest and traction from the warm and fuzzy field. But I think if you are just a person that will allow the math to make your lineups, I think you got to have some Shane Bieber if you're multi-entering, if you're mass entering. I don't know if I would be comfortable in recommending Shane Bieber as my one guy in cash games just because of how powerhouse and scary the Twins offense is. But I certainly think the talent will supersede matchups a lot of the time. And I think this is a get right with Jesus before you click his name spot at 10.7 on FanDuel. And maybe just because, there is going to be some hesitant clicks from the field, maybe I try and gauge his ownership and then maybe 1.5 to 2 exit, depending on what it is, right? If I thought he could be 10% owned, and I think he could get higher. If I thought he was going to get 10% owned, maybe I go 15 to 20%. And that's just numbers off the top of my head. I definitely think we could see that variate. Yeah. He does give up a lot of hard contact to both sides of the plate, 46.5% to lefties, 39.2% to righties. But he keeps those on the ground more often than not. Just a 34% fly ball rate to righties last season and a 35% to lefties. So a good chance that we can offset the pitches that he does allow contact to be made with maybe some double plays or something like that. He did have a 1.6 homer per night to lefties last year. Jorge Polanco, Eddie Rosario. I think Rosario got one yesterday. And Max Kepler, I mean, this is the ultimate boomer bust spot for him. He is a low strikeout guy, 15.3% K rate last couple seasons against righties. But he does have double dong potential. We saw it, I think, on opening day. So this is one of those spots where if I'm running 150, I definitely have some hedged twin stacks to kind of hedge my ownership of Shane Bieber and so on and so forth. Jose Berrios is a much more curious case because something I've noticed about him, or at least in 2018, was he tended to do a little bit better at home. In 2018, he had a 3.27 home xFIP, but he was pretty rough on the road that year. Last year, that xFIP kind of jumped up, a 4.34 xFIP and a 261 average allowed. And that makes him much more shaky for me pre-flop, especially considering his opening day didn't go quite well against another scary offense in the White Sox. The Indians, Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, Santana, I mean, those are all guys I'm pretty scared of. I will say the bottom half of the lineup maybe doesn't scare me as much if it's something like this projected lineup. Franmil Reyes has a near 29% K rate against righties, 40% for Bradley Zimmer, over 32% for Domingo Santana, and Sandy Leon, 26%. So there is 4 guys in that projected lineup that could strike out over 1 in 4 times, right? So Jose Berrios could walk away with some strikeouts here, but his swinging strike rate's kind of down from the year prior, not much, but is a little bit. And I just don't think I'm going to trust him yet. And I really hate to be so wishy-washy so far in pitching, but if I had to pick a pitcher from this game, it's obviously Shane Bieber pre-flop. And I'm starting to think maybe I'm overthinking that 10.7 price point on FanDuel because I've already mentioned how there are some bargain bin players to be had from these first couple games. So maybe I will just roll with Shane Bieber in my single entries and just see what happens. And hope that he'll at least give me a floor, right? My Garrett Cole lineups did just fine last night because of the floor he offered. What is Vegas saying about this spot? Vegas has the Twins at 4.4 implied runs, the Indians at 4.2. So it's not really a shootout, and the temperature is in the low 80s, so a little bit lower than some of these other spots, right? High 80s for the Mets. No, I guess it's mid 80s all across the board. So, yeah, I think I'll dabble with Shane Bieber. Anyone from this game going nuts on the bomb detector? Cleveland, Minnesota. Eddie Rosario's up there, and I think that makes sense. I'm pretty sure Rosario homered last night. And we talked about Shane Bieber's home run per 9 to lefties, so makes a little sense here. He homered last night, and he does have a decent reflection on the bomb detector. So maybe I'll have him sprayed across some one-offs. Pitch report on this game. Anything that stands out? Fastball, curveball for Berrios. Carlos Santana has a 1.6 grade against a curveball. Not staggering results on the curveball for these Indians hitters, or the fastball for that matter. J-Ram and Lindor as expected, and then Shane Bieber, fastball, slider, and curveball. Where's Rosario there? Negative against the slider, slightly above average against the curveball. So nothing to scream about. Right. See what you guys got in chat. Fish jumped in. With his razor, his jitterbug has YouTube access now. Got you home waiting for that COVID results. Man, don't they give I think 80 hours of COVID payment to actual companies? I feel like I knew somebody whose company would, if you had COVID and you had to take 2 weeks off, there was like a federal grant for them to pay it. But who knows? I feel like I would keep faking. Be like, I think I got the Rona again. I guess I can't go to work because I'd be too scared to contract it anyway. Rays at the Braves. Next game on the docket, Ryan Yarbrough battling Max Fried. Is this just like lefty versus lefty day? When's the last time we had so many lefties? This is the third game featuring lefty versus lefty, right? Ryan Yarbrough is going to get his second start of the year. He tossed 5 1/3 scoreless innings against the Blue Jays in his last start. He has excelled on the road, going 16-4 with a 3.41 ERA in his first 33 appearances away from Tropicana Field. Max Fried, 3.6 ERA. He pitched around a couple walks in Saturday's second inning against the Mets, and he didn't surrender a hit before allowing a double and a triple on consecutive pitches in the fifth. Last season, he led the National League left-handers with 17 wins and had a 3.21 ERA in 15 home starts. I think these are two pitches to maybe consider a little bit more than last year. The Braves are still a team that I have a lot of respect for, and I do love them against lefties. I maybe loved them a little too much against Steven Matz. But man, this potential top four: Acuna, Albies, Freeman, Ozuna. I like all of them against lefties. Dansby Swanson. I don't know what's got into this kid, but he's looking like a first-round draft pick all of a sudden. And he's had a really nice stretch of games to start the season. Again, we don't want to overreact to a week of sample size, but certainly has come through in some good spots for the Braves. Much like yesterday, the Braves are priced really high. I mean, 5.8 for Acuna, 5.6 Albies, 5.6 for Freeman, who was a huge play yesterday. The algorithm has them really, really juiced up. But I don't necessarily find the Rays pitching staff, starters, and bullpen as a bad matchup to pick on. I do got respect for them. But, hey, the Braves, they have some built-in talent. Yarbrough's biggest leaks, if there are any, is the xFIP is a little bit high. higher than his results, I guess. 4.59 xFIP last year to lefties, a 4.13 xFIP to righties. I mean, there is some room for those numbers to kind of waver over 4 CRA, Sierra, but nothing that makes me target him with a bunch of 6K players on the surface. So it's one of those spots, if I'm going to play some Braves, probably just because I have the salary and I want to be a little bit different. The Braves were an extremely low owned stack yesterday. Made a lot of sense for them to be low owned, considering we had Gary Cole and Jacob deGrom, and they were all $5,500. But yeah, Max Fried, he's an interesting click here, or at least he might be interesting ownership wise. He's got he's a minus 141 favorite, and the Rays have an implied run total of just 3.9. I'm curious to see if that shakes throughout the day. Yandy Diaz I have as a potential projected leadoff man. Jose Martinez, I used to love playing him, I believe with the Cardinals against lefties. But the rest of his lineup shakes out really, really weird. And I don't know if there were some injuries floating around this lineup or what. But these, other than Hunter Renfroe, I don't have a ton of fear in this lineup. Maybe Renfroe and Jose Martinez in terms of guys I'm scared of power-wise. And Max Fried does have the ability to miss some bats, 11.5% swing and strike rate last season. He did allow a high average to righties, but I'm going to assume that low xFIP suggests that maybe his average allowed was due to some bad luck via BABIP. So let's go pull up his FanGraphs card, just do a little bit of deeper diving here and check out his splits versus righties. So if you guys want to play along on other players when you're doing your research throughout the day, basically I pulled up FanGraphs, I put in Max Fried, I hit splits, and I'm going to I'm going to go to 2019. And I'm going to control F the term BABIP. BABIP versus righties last season was 345. So, yeah, that's quite a bit of unluckiness. But, the normal stuff's probably 280 to 320. It's not, egregious, but it is on the high end for sure. So his xFIP being 3.44 suggests that he could come back down. And I think on both sides, his price is kind of nice enough for me to get to. And I probably do introduce him into my pitching player pool here. Out of curiosity, how many pitches did he throw in that last outing? 67. Yikes! I'd want to see more than that. But if I could project that to a leash of 85 pitches at 8K, I might be able to take a shot. Got a strikeout per inning against the Mets. What's the K percentages on the Rays here? The bottom half of the order does have some Ks. Hopefully, I can get a better. I think I can put him at 85 pitches if everything's going great, and I'll have some shots on him. I probably don't get this from Yarbrough, but I don't think you're crazy. We have seen some high strikeout games by the Braves, and other than Ozzy Albies, everyone on the Braves lineup has struck out over 20% of the time to lefties in the last 2 seasons. So I definitely don't think you would be far-fetched to have a couple shots on Yarbrough. I'm just not sure if that's going to be the way I end up. He had 1 strikeout in 5 innings against the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays definitely had a lot higher strikeout rates against lefties. So, yeah, I don't know. I probably don't get there on Fried, right? What up, Young C? Man, y'all really do be awake at this time, though. I don't know how y'all do it. Acuna looked like he could find a baseball yesterday. Freddie against a lefty. Where do I sign up for this trap? I'm there. Fam, I hope you made an NBA stream for a 2-game slate. Come on, man. I might. If I find, maybe I'll get Raj from his Canadian quarantine, and we'll get it going. It's called a 9 to 5. Yeah, 9 p.m. 5 a.m., bro. Let's move on. Got the Royals at the Tigers. We got Brady Singer taking on Ivan Nova, former Yankee great. Royals with an implied run total of 5.4. The Tigers 4.8. Brady Singer, I hope I'm saying that right, is coming off a superb MLB debut in Cleveland on Saturday. the club's number 2 prospect, went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 runs. He struck out 7, retiring 8 of his last 9 hitters. I'm interested. Ivan Nova gave up 3 runs on 3 hits, and 2 of them were home runs over 5 innings in his season debut Saturday in Cincinnati. He could benefit from the spacious confines of Comerica Park, where he fared well in 3 starts last year with the White Sox. All right, let's do some deeper diving. Let's go pull up Brady Singer and check out his card on FanGraphs just to kind of see the in-game metric results from his last performance. If you guys ever want to do this, you just pull up that pitcher's card, go to game log, and then we're going to look at a couple things. So this is going to be the actual standard results. One thing I want to look at here is XFIP, 2.55 XFIP. That is elite. That's really good. Again, we don't overreact to a single game sample size, but it does tell a better story on whether or not a pitcher was getting lucky or not throughout that ball game. Let's go check out average allowed 167, just a 1 whip. The BABIP was 273, right? That's right there in the sweet spot. Maybe a little bit better, but in 1 game sample size, not crazy. And then batted ball, ground ball at 54.5%, and the hard contact was at 27%, Sierra 2.9. So this guy's looking really, really elite. So now let's see if we can maybe quantify these numbers with some minor league information. And we're going to go to MILB.com, pull up Brady Singer, and check out his minor league splits and see what happens in 2019. Double-A, we don't have any Triple-A stuff, but in 2019 Double-A, 44 innings against lefties. He gave up just a 260 average, 3 homers in 44 innings. I'll take that. 46.2 innings against righties, a 235 average, and 42 strikeouts in 46 innings with 5 home runs allowed in 46. So the home run's a little bit, that's probably like a little over a 1 home run per 9 there. And I don't have ground out to air out ratios. So it does suggest that he was getting less than a strikeout per inning in Double-A. So maybe he was a little lucky in the strikeout regard. And the 17 walks and 44 lefties in Double-A is probably a little bit elevated as well. But he does seem like somebody I don't mind taking a shot on. Yeah, I don't mind. Let's see. 68 on DraftKings. Let me pull up my DraftKings. Why did I feel like I just had the DraftKings lineup page. I feel like I will have some shots on Singer here. I don't know if the field's going to overreact to his opening game here, but this Tigers lineup does have a lot of strikeout potential, especially against righties. 31% carry to righties from Goodrum, 24, 25, 25. I mean, there's a lot of strikeouts baked in here outside of Miguel Cabrera. Knowing my luck, it'll be C.J. Cron finally doing things. But Singer is 68. If I feel like he doesn't get shelled, he walks away with a range of outcomes of 15 to 22. On this slate, I probably take that. I mean, 7 strikeouts against the Indians, a little bit harder to come by. 80 pitches that outing. Could we stretch that to 90 and maybe give him a shot at 5 or 6? Yeah, I think so. So Brady Singer's probably in my pool for sure. But I will say this: if you guys are gonna tail me playing some Brady Singer, just know we're going on the matchup against the Tigers and how they underperform against righties, and minimal samples or minimal stats at a major league level, right? So just 5 innings in the bigs and no AAA sample size last season. So going from Double-A to the majors, we don't have a big pool of confidence to kind of swim around in. So know that there is some risk there, right? So don't overreact if all of a sudden he gets smacked up. But it looks like there's at least some underlying reasons to feel like that price, this matchup, is enough for him to hit value, and we could roster him as an SP2 option here. Do like that he's a slight favorite here, minus 128 favorite. Royals with a 5.4 implied run total. We do have plenty of sample size on Ivan Nova, and we know Nova struggles mightily against lefties, so 1.6 plus home run per 9 against left-handed hitters the last 2 seasons. Anybody here that fits the mold on that? It's tough. Adalberto Mondesi, I don't really expect him to hit with a lot of power. I think he slugs a high slugging rate because of how fast he is. I believe he had a triple yesterday. Ryan O'Hearn, maybe a 47% hard contact rate. I mean, there are some lefties here that have a chip in a chair because of this matchup, and he does just allow a high average anyway. So I'm okay with going back to the Royals well here. Two guys from the Royals that really treated me well yesterday was Whit Merrifield and was it who was their 3 or 4 spot guy? He's not in the lineup right now. I played McBroom in the 5 spot. But Whit Merrifield has been on an incredible start to the season from a DFS consistency standpoint. At 4,100 with no 10, 12K pitching, I mean, look at this floor he's been offering for the most part. 5-5 at Cleveland. Cleveland's got some tough pitching in their rotation. But against Detroit, 32, 18, 12. He has power. He has the ability to hit multiple hits in a game. And we haven't seen it yet, but he can steal bases. He stole base on opening day. He has some speed to get out there and swipe a bag. So I do like some Whit Merrifield, even though Nova's a guy I prefer lefties with. But a 293 average, I'll take that all day long, all day strong. And then Jorge Solaire, he has a lot of power. He usually gets neutralized by the propensity of striking out. With a guy like Ivan Nova who's going to pitch to contact, I mean, it's a good spot for Solaire to sneak one. Nova's going to be more of a ground ball pitcher more often than not. But all of these Royals will make my lineup. I think it was Franco I was thinking of too. Franco's been really, really good. He's 2K on DraftKings again. Come on, bro. Yeah, 17 yesterday, 2 doubles. We saw him hit 2 homers 3 games ago. Like, I'm not going to say Franco's a 340 hitter. We've seen him just be super average with the Phillies, but 2K? I mean, DraftKings. DraftKings algorithm is just so funky to me, right? We get weird prices like the Braves yesterday against Charlie Morton. And then 2 days of Royals. It's the Tigers. Not like the Tigers have like scary aces to jack up an algorithm, right? What? Come on. So Franco's probably going to have pretty high ownership at 2K if people are jamming in like JD Martinez and Giancarlo Stanton and stuff like that. That's just that can't happen. But we'll see. Tiger side, if I wanted to pick on Brady Singer, I don't really have a lot of sample size of anything. It does look like against lefties in the minors, against righties in the minors, to give up a few more home runs per. It's kind of even, really. Walked lefties a little bit more. Scope has been on a little bit of a streak. Kristen Stewart homered the other day. But no one here that's going to strike fear in me, so I probably don't get down with any Tigers here. Just some Royals, right? We want Trolley. You'll stream with me for the 2-game NBA slate. Maybe we'll see. It's 2 games, man. Come on. Let's move on to the next game here. Angels hosting the Mariners. Mariners put up some surprising runs last night. This pitching matchup will feature another lefty in Marco Gonzalez taking on Dylan Bundy, who I loved on opening day. I'm curious to see if I get there on him today. Marco Gonzalez took the loss in Houston on opening day, but now he faces an Angels team that he's fared well against in the past. He's 5-1 with a 4.17 ERA and 12 career starts against the Halos, and he's 3-0 with a 3.12 in 6 starts in Anaheim. Dylan Bundy had a great debut with the Angels, allowing 1 run over 6 2/3 innings with 7 strikeouts. He threw more off-speed pitches than fastballs, which will be the plan going forward. He's 1-0 with a 1.35 ERA. The curious case of Dylan Bundy. If you guys have played the last couple of years, Dylan Bundy's been in a tough spot out there in Baltimore. A poor team, a poor defense. poor everything. And the park didn't do him any favors as well. He does have some good strikeout potential, a 12.9% swinging strike rate last year, a little bit higher than the year prior. But all of his underlying metrics, the xFIPs, the SIERAs, ERAs, all that had been elevated. I loved him on his first start against the Oakland Athletics because the Athletics came out pretty righty heavy. It was a plus park. It was a new environment. So I loaded up on Dylan Bundy that night, and it paid off. And now I'm curious to kind of go back to the well. So if you bear with me, let's do some research here. Let's check out Dylan Bundy. That little blurb about him using off speed a little bit more is interesting to me. So let's go to his pitch. Let's go to pitch type. So in that opening game, he threw 44% fastball, 33% slider, and 13% changeup. So let's go to the pitch report and see how that slider had been faring for him the last couple years. His slider had a 1.43 grade, and that's on a linear scale. And he was only using it 22.8% of the time. So I'm not going to say that we expect him to increase that 10% or more throughout the season, but the fact that they suggested that that was the plan to begin with, to use his better pitch more, is encouraging. So the Mariners, and whatever sample size we have from them, not great against the slider. Kyle Lewis has been kind of their best player overall. So I think I'm willing to go back to Dylan Bundy here and test him out. Let's go to that game. Let's go to game log for batted ball. In that game, he had a 3.86 xFIP. So the xFIP is still fine. Sierra's 3.44. Hard contact was average. Almost no ground balls that game. 56% fly ball and 37.5% line drive. Now, this is scary, but it's just a one-game sample size. So I think I'd still dabble with Dylan Bundy here. I probably wouldn't lock him in as my cash game pitcher, but pitching against the Mariners when our back's against the wall is definitely something I'm going to be doing. And I love these K percentages I'm seeing. Cedric Long, 27% K rate to righties. Kyle Lewis, over 30%. Evan White, 38%. Vogelbach, 25%. Nola, 27%. Marmolejos, 33%. So definitely some strikeout potential in this lineup. So 8,200 on both sides. The Angels are a minus 192. Big favorite here. Is Dylan Bundy our cash game pitcher today? I feel like he might. I feel like he might be. And then you have plenty of salary to work with. Yeah, I think Dylan Bundy will be that. It's a good park. 8,200. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, but I wish I wish his metrics made me feel better. We only have one game to go off of. His xFIP the last two seasons. The Sierra's up there. But I like to switch to the slider, and it's the Mariners. Even though they dropped 1 million runs last night. I'm here for it, though. Batting-wise, Marco Gonzalez, 6,300 on DraftKings. He's going to be more of a contact pitcher. He has reverse splits. I think Shohei Ohtani, even though so far he hasn't had massive numbers against lefties, he'd be a fun click here because he homered last night, and we know he's an elite hitter. And then once they get in the bullpen, he can get there as well. 3K on FanDuel, 4,400 on DraftKings. Justin Upton, I do believe we're going to see positive regression in his numbers. These numbers are based off the last 2 years rolling. Upton was a perennial lefty masher before the last 2 years kind of got him a little bit injured. We've seen two homers from him. I know he homered yesterday as well. So I think this 172 batting average against lefties will go up, and that slugging rate can only go up. We know Rendon smacks lefties, and Mike Trout 6,100 on DraftKings. Today, I don't feel like the price should push you on or off a player. I do think pricing in MLB is overanalyzed in terms of pre-flop value projecting, because in baseball there's just no value scale to use. It's if a guy homers, he homers. If he don't, he don't. So 6K homer versus a 4K homer, once lock is lock, you're just trying to get raw points, right? So if you got some money to go get Mike Trout, even though he's 6,100, sure, go for it. If we go to the BVP chart, I'm curious to see if Trout's got some tally marks on Marco. He does. He has 2 bombs off of Marco, batting .429 and 28 at bat. So really good history there. 3 doubles. I definitely would have some Mike Trout floating around as a late night hammer. 6-1 is going to be a hefty price to pay, but I don't think today is going to be too much of an issue with how shallow pitching is at the top end in terms of prices. And no one on the Mariners for me yet. But I wouldn't think you're crazy to take a shot at Kyle Lewis. But that's probably it for me. I do think the Angels are all are worth stacking. Fletcher, Trout, Rendon, Upton. I like those on the surface against lefties. Max Stacy might end up in the lineup. I think he homered off a lefty the other day. I used to punt him with the Astros. He's really cheap on both sites. If he cracks that lineup, I'm a buyer. And other than that, that's that game. Let's move on to the next game. D-backs hosting the Dodgers. Dodgers coming from an extra inning game in Houston. I think they went 12 or 13 innings, but they do travel west, and I do believe it's an hour plus, so they get an extra hour to recover. Ross Stripling pitching for the Dodgers. He was not even in the rotation until David Price elected not to play this year. He delivered the Dodgers' first quality start against the Giants, allowing only 1 run in 7 innings. His new grip changeup made an impressive debut. I love these little new changes or new uses of certain pitches for pitchers to start the season. Because it's a little bit of an edge when people are using numbers from last season. Little changes like that I like to pick up on. He'll be up against Robbie Ray. Ray's looking to rebound from his start against the Padres, in which he allowed 3 runs over 3 2/3 innings in San Diego. They ran up his pitch count, forcing him out of the game after 97 pitches. The big blow was a 3-run homer by Will Myers in the 4th inning. I know the kid yesterday, Christian Javier. I mean, he was getting strikeouts early and often against the Dodgers yesterday. Dodgers didn't score but 1 run in regulation. But I still don't see myself comfortably ever challenging this Dodgers team with almost any pitcher. So Robbie Ray is going to come at you with some really high strikeout numbers, right? 31% K rate to lefties last season, 31% to righties. Swinging strike rates up there. The Sierra and the xFIP a little bit lower than his inflated ERA. So there's reason to maybe take a chance on him pre-flop with the numbers, man. But that's just a team that I hate pitching against, and I do like a lot of these bats against lefties. Mookie Betts, Justin Turner. I already told you guys Justin Turner right now is at the top of my bomb detector at a 4.21 rating. And I think the reason for this, he's got just a 16.7% K rate to lefties. So we can neutralize some of this strikeout potential from Robbie Ray. The kicker with him, he's going to allow some of the hardest contact in baseball, 44% hard contact rate. That's got to be amongst top 5 in the league last year, if I'm just guessing, with a high line drive rate and a 1.77 home run per 9. So that matches up, and it makes a lot of sense for Justin Turner to project so well. Being that they've been in the same division forever, I'm just curious to see if there is some history between him and Justin Turner. Justin Turner has 2 bombs, batting .273 and 44 at-bats, 3 doubles. Kike Hernandez, of course, 4 bombs, but he's batting just .225. So I do like Justin Turner in that regard. You'll probably see a guy like Chris Taylor. A.J. Pollock coming back to Arizona. Maybe he is the guy that has your heart against lefties still. Couple of guys here from the Dodgers that I feel like I'll just always have Dodger stacks in Mass Entry, and this will probably be another one of those spots. So if you came at me and you said, hey, man, this rookie nobody, Christian Javier, was getting strikeouts yesterday, Dodgers bleed red just like everyone else, I'm playing Robbie Ray, I'm definitely not going to talk you off of it. It's just for me, I'm at a uncomfortable spot to pitch against a team I think is probably the best team, or at least the best offense in baseball, right? Ross Stripling, 8,400 on DraftKings. I like his underlying metrics: 3.58 xFIP, 3.75 Sierra last year. Swinging strike rate, fine, not elite, but fine. Low walk rates, not going to waste a lot of pitches. He did get that quality start in his last outing. He's 8,400. He's right there with like the Dylan Bundys of the world. D-backs against righties. 20% or less K rates for much of the lineup. Cole Calhoun, Christian Walker, Jake Lamb, and two of these three are lefties. Have elevated K rates against righties. So I don't think you're out of your mind to take a shot on Ross Stripling. I wish his swinging strike rate was a little bit better, but overall, it looks like he's going to keep the ball on the ground for the most part. Does have a high hard contact rate to lefties when they do make contact, but overall, I could understand a case at 8-4 if you thought a 20-point outing was a range of outcome for him. None of these pitchers, I think, look like they're going to get demolished today, but they don't give you like that warm and fuzzy upside, that high ceiling feeling either, right? Like I said, I could understand you guys thinking Robbie Ray could sneak by with a big game. I'm definitely not. 7K for a 30% K rate is definitely priced lower than the talent, right? He has the potential to at least make a 7K value or overperform for that price point. So I understand if you do want to take some Robbie Ray. I just don't know if I'm gonna be comfortable there, right? What up, Celia? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's move on to the final game. Giants hosting the Padres. Dinelson Lamet taking on Kevin Gossman. Bro, these are names. Lamet, his fastball velocity sat in the high 90s and even touched 99 and 100 in his last start, an uptick from where he sat last season. He worked 5 innings of 1-run ball against Arizona, striking out 8. You love to see that. Kevin Gossman will make his second appearance and first start for the Giants in the series finale. He made his season debut out of the bullpen last week against the Dodgers, yielding 3 runs over 4 innings. So I'm not going to probably ever play a Gabe Kapler starting pitcher. That's just something we don't do. But the Dinelson Lamet's at least a curious click for me. High strikeout propensity from him on both sides. On both sides of the plate, and on both sides, he's at the same price tag at 9,200. His xFIP is really, really nice, 3.57 on against lefties last year, 3.29 against righties. Did have a home run bug. He uses a slider a lot, I believe, right? If we go check out that pitch report for Lamet, 44% slider rate. So if that slider hangs, they can bang it. We mocked the Giants for their lack of power yesterday, and then they go off and hit a couple home runs. Mike Yastrzemski hit 2. And today they may get Brandon Belt and Evan Longoria back in the mix, and they can't make them worse, right? But this Giants lineup looking a little bit more strikeout prone than we've known the last half decade, with just Mauricio Dupont, a sub 20% K rate in that lineup. So definitely kind of like the propensity for Dinelson Lamet to come through and be a solid pitching option. This Giants lineup against the slider, just Hunter Pence projects really well against that pitch. Dupont's on a shorter sample size. And yeah, so I will have some interest in Lamet. I mean, that type of strikeout stuff in the top pitcher's park, it's hard to look away from that. And I love the fact that even his velocity is going up. He's only getting better, right? No Gossman for me. I'm all about the Padres, man. I've been stacking Padres, not secretly, but yesterday when I put my lineups in, I was like, man, I always end up with a lot of Padres. But Fernando Tatis, Trent Grisham, Machado went Yabo yesterday. Tommy Pham, all guys that I don't mind putting in the mix. And Grisham hit a bomb yesterday too. And they're all cheap enough to kind of justify. Tommy Pham is somebody that even if he doesn't hit for a high average or hit you a bomb or something like that, he does have the ability to steal multiple bags. We saw two stolen base games from him. So I don't mind going back to the well on him. Obviously, he started out much hotter, but the room for going back and swiping bags and 2 stolen bases and 2 hits, all of a sudden you have home run points, right? Grisham is pretty affordable on both sides. Fernando Tatis, you got to go up there and get him at his price points. So it is a really favorable pitcher's park. So we're not going to go too wild with getting excited to play the Padres, but the Padres are a minus 174 favorite, so I at least will kind of hang my hat on playing some Dinelson Lamet. So a lot of middle of the road pitchers on a normal slate that I think I'm going to end up being a little bit more excited to play today. So to recap, Dinelson Lamet, Dylan Bundy, Brady Singer, I guess probably still a dab or two or some Shane Bieber. And then I don't know where I'm going to get on J Happ. Also, the Yankees run total at the top of the stream was at 6.1 or 6.2. I'm looking at it now, and they're at 6.5, and they're minus 226 favorite. I don't know how often you see an over 2-run favorite not be minus 300, but right now the Yankees are pulling that off somehow. So we'll see if that goes up even more today. They were just teeing off yesterday for the most part. So Yankees will probably be your most sought after stack. And then it's a matter of mixing and matching the right sub bats and getting the right pitchers. I think I like my initial read here. If you guys are watching live, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, throw them in chat. I kind of want to take a minute to kind of go look through the short season sample size and just kind of see some, like, who's getting lucky, who's getting unlucky, stuff like that. So if you guys have any questions, throw them in chat. I'm going to dabble with FanGraphs a little bit. If you are getting out of here, remember you can always interact with me on Twitter, twitter.com/GundackerSports. If you guys want access to the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheets for MLB and NBA, go to RunDFS.com. I don't even think I plugged this yet. Make yourself an account, go to VIP passes, and get cranked up. Week pass right now, $25. That's a good little teaser. Get you tested with the Discord access, the pre-lock voice chats and stuff like that, and the spreadsheet access. If you guys really, really, really know that you're going to love it, you can save over $100 by just locking in until January 1st. And that'll get you access for baseball, basketball, and the full NFL regular season. So I think that's a pretty good deal. Anyway, let's get back to FanGraphs here. And just kind of like do some digging here. Who's been like really unlucky? Who's been really lucky? So let's go to batted ball data to start the season. Let's go to hard contact rate. Actually, let's get a minimum plate appearances of 10. That way, we don't want to get some crazy numbers, right? Nels, oh, it's not sorted. Hello. Any weird names up here? Eloy Jimenez has a 75% hard contact rate. Dansby Swanson, 64%. That's fun. And then BABIP, who's been getting really unlucky on BABIP. Let's go minimum 20 on BABIP. We have 20, right? Yeah, we have 20. BABIP. Highest BABIP on 20 plate appearances this season, Kyle Lewis with a 43% hard contact rate, a 750 BABIP, bro. Oh, man. Dansby Swanson is second in BABIP, 583. That's nuts, bro. A lot of 500s. Let's see who's the most unlucky. Christian Yelich has a 0 BABIP with a 40% hard contact rate and a 53% pull rate. He does have a homer, but obviously homers aren't balls in play, so it's not going to go against that. Springer has a 0 BABIP. Upton looks like he's been a little bit unlucky. Rizzo with just 111. So these stats right here, a week sample size is a little bit fluffy for that. But if you're looking over the course of 2-3 weeks and you're able to come back and isolate those weeks and see who's been really high on the BABIP or really low on the BABIP, you can kind of project positive or negative regression. So if you guys have been at like the Christian Yelich slot machine, obviously a 0 BABIP is unsustainable with a 40% hard contact rate and a 53% pull rate. So it seems like he's getting really, really unlucky. But he's keeping the ball on the ground at 60%. So we're looking for guys that maybe have a lower BABIP with a decent, like a near 20% line drive rate, and the fly ball rate getting up a little bit higher. Anyone else here? Donaldson, 154 BABIP. We're starting to see that come around. He did hit a bomb the other day, but his ground ball rate's really, really high. Joey Gallo hit a bomb, I believe, yesterday. Chris Bryant at 167 BABIP. Man, there's a lot of guys here looking for Max Muncy's actually had some like a big game, but I guess those are homer games, so it doesn't really go for his bad. But Tommy Pham's a little bit on the south side of bad luck as well. Those are fun. Those are fun. And I think I saw that. I think somebody mentioned Corey Seager was one of the most consistent high hard hit balls or high hard contact guys to start the season as well. So fun stats, guys. Fun stats. Hopefully you guys will go out there and crush tonight's MLB slate. If you are playing basketball, do note that basketball is going to lock like 30, 40 minutes before baseball does. So kind of plan your lineup construction and lineup entry that way. It's not going to be too hard to make your NBA lineups, just 2 games. Baseball's going to be a little bit more complex, but we'll see if we get some NBA content going, right? Hey, okay, AD, relax. But I appreciate you guys hanging with me on a Thursday morning, NBA Thursday, back in action. I will see you guys later today somehow for something. And we'll have more baseball content probably for tomorrow's slate up in the morning. And then I'll try and get some type of NBA stream today, hopefully, previewing tomorrow's big slate. And don't hold me to some NBA content for today yet, but we'll see. I'll try. If I can get a co-host or two to kind of chop it up and break down what we might be looking at, I might get you guys something today. But I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully you guys win a whole bunch of money tonight. I love each and every one of you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Good luck. God bless.